It was a tense evening under the glowing lights of the Qizhong Tennis Center in Shanghai when Danni Medvedev's match was suddenly interrupted in one of the most bizarre moments of the 2025 Shanghai Masters. The Russian star, known for his calm yet often unpredictable demeanor on court, found himself in the middle of an unexpected drama, not with his opponent, but with a fan in the stands. The incident unfolded midway through the second set, just as Medvedev was building momentum in what had been a thrilling and high-quality contest. A tee first. No one could quite tell what was happening. Medvedev was preparing to serve when a loud voice cut through the calm of the arena. It wasn't just a cheer or a boo. It was something more aggressive, more disruptive. Spectators turned their heads toward the noise, and the chair umpire immediately looked up from his seat. Medvedev paused, his eyes narrowing as he tried to locate the source of the commotion. For a few seconds, confusion reigned. Then it became clear. A fan sitting a few rows up from the baseline was shouting continuously, apparently targeting Medvedev with a stream of taunts and sarcastic remarks. Security quickly began to move toward the section, but Medvedev, visibly annoyed, stepped away from the baseline and gestured toward the umpire. The crowd began to murmur, some booing the disruption while others craned their necks to see what was going on. "It's always the same," Medvedev muttered as the cameras caught his expression, half disbelief, half frustration. The umpire made an announcement asking for silence and respect for the players, but the fan refused to quiet down, shouting something unintelligible that drew a gasp from those nearby. Within moments, security officers arrived at the scene. The fan, still arguing and pointing toward the court, was escorted from his seat. The tension in the stadium was palpable as everyone watched the scene unfold. Some fans clapped as the man was led away, while others tried to record the moment on their phones. Medvedev stood near the net, shaking his head, speaking briefly to the umpire before taking a sip from his water bottle. "It's unbelievable," he seemed to say, gesturing toward the crowd as the camera zoomed in. The match was halted for nearly 5 minutes as order was restored. Medvedev's opponent, clearly uncomfortable, took the opportunity to stay loose by hitting a few practice serves. The commentators on Tennis Channel noted that this wasn't the first time a fan incident had affected Medvedev during a match. The Russian has a history of dealing with hecklers from New York to Melbourne, and though he's matured greatly over the years, such disruptions still tend to rattle his rhythm. When play finally resumed, the atmosphere had shifted. The crowd, perhaps realizing how uncomfortable the situation had been, began to rally behind both players, cheering politely and keeping silent between points. Medvedev, however, looked visibly shaken. His next serve was a double fault, an unusual lapse for a player of his precision. His opponent pounced, breaking serve and pumping his fist, sensing an opening. For a few games, it looked as though the momentum had shifted completely, but then something changed. Medvedev, always known for his mental resilience, took a deep breath, walked back to the baseline, and began to rebuild his focus point by point. The frustration that had flashed across his face moments earlier seemed to harden into determination. He started hitting deeper, more controlled shots, pushing his opponent from corner to corner, reclaiming control of the rallies. The crowd, sensing the shift, grew louder in support, chanting his name after every clean winner. By the end of the second set, Medvedev had not only regained his composure, but elevated his game. He closed out the set with an ace, pumping his fist and looking toward the stands, not in anger, but in defiance, as if to remind everyone that distractions wouldn't break him. The incident that had threatened to derail his night instead became fuel. After the match, which he eventually won in 3 hard-fought sets, Medvedev addressed the situation in his post-match interview. "It's never pleasant when something like that happens," he said. "I try to stay focused, but sometimes people forget that we're out here giving everything. We don't need that kind of negativity. I'm thankful to the security and the fans who supported both players tonight." His tone was calm, but the frustration was still visible. "It's part of tennis, I guess," he added with a slight shrug. Fans on social media quickly reacted to the clip of the incident, which spread rapidly across X, formerly Twitter, and TikTok. Many praised Medvedev for maintaining his composure, calling it a masterclass in professionalism. Others condemned the fans' behavior, arguing that such interruptions have no place in tennis. Imagine paying for a ticket just to disrespect the players, one user wrote, echoing the sentiment of many. Tournament officials later released a brief statement confirming that the fan had been removed from the stadium and banned from future sessions. The Shanghai Masters is committed to ensuring a respectful and safe environment for all players and spectators, the statement read. We thank Danil Medvedev and his opponent for their professionalism during the interruption. Despite the drama, Medvedev's victory that night was a reminder of his growing maturity. A few years ago, such an incident might have completely thrown him off balance. He might have argued with the umpire, smashed a racket, or engaged with the crowd. But this time, he turned the chaos into calm. He transformed the noise into focus, proving once again why he remains one of the toughest competitors on tour. AS fans left the stadium that night. Conversations buzzed about the match, not just about Medvedev's win, but about how he handled the situation. He's really grown up, one fan told local media. The old Medvedev would have exploded. This new version just wins. For Medvedev, it was another reminder that tennis is as much a mental game as a physical one. The Shanghai Masters has seen its share of dramatic moments over the years, but this one stood out. Not because of controversy alone, but because of how a champion handled it. What could have been a distraction became a defining moment of calm under pressure, a testament to resilience, and a story that fans will remember long after the final ball was struck. That night in Shanghai, Danil Medvedev showed that true champions don't just fight opponents across the net. They conquer everything around them, even the chaos that tries to steal their focus.